The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist, with Dave Hondel and Tom Kline.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Tom. Oh, what are you doing, man? What do you have the mask on for? What's up with that?
Well, it's a pandemic. This is pandemic theater. I don't want anybody catching germs from me mostly, and I don't want to get it from you guys. You know, you can get a computer virus and like that. And
you can't get a computer virus though. You know, I think you're okay. You're safe without the mask.
But you think?
I think you're okay.
I don't want COVID all over my face, but I'm going to trust you on this. So, okay.
I think you're good.
It's here.
There you are. There's Tom.
Yeah, we got the troupe from Phantasmagoria is coming here in just a little bit, and you know, I mean, once they get here, I'm looking forward to this. This is our first inaugural pandemic theater show, so.
This is it, man. This is a Tom Kline production, and I can't be more excited to have them as our first guest. From what you say, they're amazing. So I can't wait to see what they have. And again, this is our inaugural episode for this particular series. So I'm excited for our viewers and our listeners out there.
Yeah, I am too. And actually, it looks like a bunch of them are sitting in the waiting room. So what do you say we go ahead and just get started?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay, getting ready to go, and
ladies and gentlemen,
ladies and gentlemen,
boys and girls,
boys and girls,
and all the diversity of spirits that have followed us down through the centuries. We are Phantasmagoria.
Welcome, one and all. It is so great to have all of you here with us today. You guys, to me, are legendary, and you're from the Orlando area, basically. Although I believe, Byron, where all have you guys performed? I know it's beyond Orlando.
Oh, yes. Well, we have performed as far north as Baltimore, Maryland. We continually perform in St. Louis, Missouri. We regularly perform in Atlanta. So, yeah, we do go out on tour or have mini troops in other states as well.
Beyond yourself and Cimarine, who I imagine were the originals in the show. Starting with Mercury, how long have you been? Because I think you're probably the next longest.
If I'm doing the math correctly, I believe it's 7 years.
Wow.
Going into
Your first year was 4, correct?
yes.
Yes.
So going into 7, yes.
7 years, yes.
And then probably close between Alteza and Mercury.
Well, Alteza, how long have you been with the troupe, dear heart?
I was recruited just last year.
Okay.
So 2019.
Well, I would think Rafe also, 2019.
Prior to that.
Oh, were you really? Rafe, how long have you been a part of the troupe?
Rafe is deaf. Many people don't know that.
I do know.
I've been with the troupe now for
Going into 2
2 years, although I've been following along and helping out with them for a tad more than that. But
technically, he was stalking us through Mercury.
He does stalk.
All of a sudden,
his very first trip to Florida, after coming from the airport and a little breakfast, he came to a gig.
Yes.
And watched us perform.
And I was
awesome. And you were hooked. I anticipate you were hooked immediately.
Yes.
And he's
Yeah.
I will say that I was as well. I stumbled across Lady Cimarine herself. She was a bit taller. She was walking on stilts of her kind. And I was almost drawn to her like a moth to a flame. I don't know if that was her ploy, but she does sparkle like that. And I walked right up to her and I had a wonderful, pleasant conversation for a moment. And then I just had to know what it was that she was representing, and I was so entranced by it. I really was beckoned or drawn to it, and then she kind of nonchalantly. I'm sorry?
I had to know you as well, my darling, just so you know. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and then she, with glee in her eyes, she motioned towards Lord Byron, and she told me of an audition was coming up and that I should show up, and then I did, and I was recruited, and I will never leave.
Well, let me ask Lord Byron, what was the inspiration for all of this? Well, what made you begin to go, I have this idea, I have this germ of an idea to create Phantasmagoria? Obviously, it was many years ago, but where did you first perform?
It's a strange journey. We first performed in Orlando, in Central Florida, is where the troupe was formed. The idea goes back actually now 30 years.
Wow.
When I first came to Orlando, and a gentleman named Ben Rock and myself, and this gentleman Ben is famous for being the Blair Witch person. He created this.
Oh, really?
Stuff. So we wanted to create a horror circus, but we had no idea what that meant. So we would come up with an idea and then throw it away, and come up with another idea and throw it away. And he moved to California, and we still didn't have a horror circus. And every once in a while, an idea would pop into our heads and then just kind of go away. And about 11 years ago, I was teaching in Atlanta. And I went to go see a show. It was actually this bizarre puppet show that was of a Faulkner novel. And I watched this, and it was multimedia, and it was music, and it was acting, and it was puppets, and it was all this stuff. And I went, that's the idea right there. And it had this kind of circus vibe to it. So I literally wrote the first Phantasmagoria in Atlanta, like made phone calls to a bunch of friends and said, hey, you want to do something this Halloween? And I came down and did the first show. And we thought it was a one-time show called Phantasmagoria. And then people during that first year kept coming up to us after the show going, oh my God, this was so good. What are you doing next year? And we went, something. And then we all stood in a circle that first year at the end. And I said, hey, do you all want to do this again next year? And everyone said, sure. And then I said, yeah, but it's going to be all new. And they went, okay. And that's what we've been doing ever since then. We just keep it going.
And it is always new. Everything is always new. It's refreshing.
Yeah. Do you have different themes every time you do a show every year? Is there a different theme?
The shows have different themes. Sometimes the themes start in one place and end in another place, you know. But yeah, each year has a theme, like, you know, homecoming or reckoning and things like that. We try to follow that. And then even the other shows we do, because like Alteza performs with kind of an alternate version of our troupe. And so each of those shows has had a theme. Earlier this year, we opened and quickly closed because of a little thing called the plague. We opened a love-themed show, you know, that began as a Valentine's Day show and then continued in other places as a love-themed show. We were supposed to perform in that next weekend after everything was closed down.
Yeah.
And so that is on hold right now, you know. So we'll explore different themes or different genres as we're doing one of our shows, yes.
Well, and let me ask, considering that we are in this pandemic, how has that been for you guys in terms of managing to continue to kick ideas around or rehearse or, you know, kind of keep the troupe together and figure out where you're going next? Or is it all right now, which I would not be surprised by, just sort of we're just going to hunker down and wait and see where it all goes?
Well, currently there are 72 Phantasmagoria members living in my basement.
Big basement. You have a basement in Florida.
Yes, we do.
The only one.
No, I have one. Believe it or not, I literally do have a basement.
No, we're continuing to. We haven't stopped. Like, so that when we came back from St. Louis, we were in St. Louis rehearsing with the Phantasmagoria troupe there when everything shut down. We landed at the same moment that President Mr. was giving his speech about closing down things, and we're like, oh my gosh. So we rehearsed for 5 days with the St. Louis Phantasmagoria troupe and flew home. Didn't know what to do. At that point in time, our shows were still not canceled because no one knew what was really happening. So we were still planning on these shows. And that first weekend, we decided to go digital. And that's when we did our first episode of the Living Book of Face. This weekend will be our 6th week of doing that, tomorrow night. And then at CyberCon, every single one of these people got to perform. So we did it remotely, you know. So no, we're not stopping. We're continuing. I'm continuing to write. We're continuing to develop new ideas. I've been speaking with Wilhelm, who's our company manager, about all these different possible plans for the fall and winter, depending on what happens, you know. So we're not stopping. We're just waiting to see what happens next. We're supposed to be performing at MegaCon in less than a month. Let's see if that actually happens. Actually, no, a little bit more than a month. So June 4th, we're supposed to perform at MegaCon. If it occurs, or maybe they switch to digital and maybe we perform that way. We don't know. But we do know that we have a new stage and it's this.
This.
Yeah, it's this.
Well, and that's, tell the people too, because I was kind of curious, what exactly was CyberCon? I saw you guys performed at CyberCon. Was it basically this, where it was sort of that Brady Bunch, we're all in our homes performing?
No, yes.
So
A little bit of yes and a little bit of no.
it was multiple of our family members. Lord Byron came to us and he asked who would like to perform, and each of us were able to represent ourselves and say, I would love to participate, because it was a beautiful fundraiser, both to help awareness of the virus itself and help to raise funds for certain things to assist with needs that are present right now during these times. And I believe they raised over 1,000, and was it two? I can't remember the total, but
more than that. Yeah, by the time we were doing our morning show, they were close to $2,000.
Close to 2,000.
Nice.
It was a really, and I loved it. I signed up before I realized it was a fundraiser. So it made me much happier to not only be a part of the family. I believe all of us have that yearning sort of and desire to be collected again and have our family regroup and not only perform, yes, but then to learn that we're fundraising for a good cause is always something I know that our family likes to represent. But it was wonderful. We all were able to take our time in our own spaces. We pre-recorded ourselves. Mercury and Raf did a wonderful job performing their stories. Lady Simarine, who was able to record her fire dancing or her LED dancing. And of course, everyone else, including Lord Byron, myself, and multiple other performers were able to share poems and stories. And it was lots of fun. And it was quite a different medium to share, because normally we're standing on boxes in front of the live audience and we're feeding off of that atmosphere when actually
Figuring out how to use our space.
Yeah.
And I will say it was a little bit more nerve-wracking to sit in front of a device to record myself. It was a little luster lacking. I didn't have.
It was quite odd to be stationary. Like we're used to moving around,
Right.
and you're just there, you know, presenting, but you can't. You want to go like leaping off, but then you'd be off camera, so that would work.
Sometimes the space was a little nerve-wracking, but it was a lot of fun. And it all, I believe that the organizers were the ones who were flipping through our videos one by one, and then it would switch between the pre-recorded stories to Lord Byron and Lady Simarine hosting a live performance with the hosts of the fundraiser. So it was a mixture of both, which I think worked out brilliantly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. And what was beautiful is that, you know, for the first time ever, Mercury, Rafe, Alteza got to perform with Carlotta and Aria from St.
Mm-hmm.
We mixed
Yeah.
each other.
Oh, nice. So yeah, it no longer was geographic. It became we're all.
It was like an all-star team up. Yeah, it was very.
Well, and let me ask Lady Simarine. Lord Byron had mentioned earlier, will you be able to do any of the, you know, the lights, or are we confined
Absolutely. That's actually what I was going to mention real quick, going back to the pre-recorded and the live things. You guys talk about having to stay in the little camera screen. Live feeds to fire in your hands to Byron holding the computer and I'm trying to catch me. Well, I'm trying. So, yes.
Byron, you held the computer very still, surprisingly. I was very proud of you.
Well,
Incredible.
do you know what's actually really interesting, Rafe, is that the ability to dance with her.
Yes.
Because I'll get in and then I'll start moving with her.
Just a little sway. Yeah.
Fun.
Yes.
Yes. We could do some LED dancing.
LED,
Yeah,
yes.
Yes.
I have a question.
I just want to know what your neighbors thought of you, Lord Byron and Lady Marie, watching you two outside.
The boss will actually stop in the street and the neighbors will come out and watch.
Really creepy. Last weekend, I realized that I had messages in my message request on this thing called Book of Face. And when I clicked on it, it was some stranger sending me pictures of us dancing outside. So they're like, "Stop and took pictures of us." Continued and then found me. That's scary.
Oh.
That is.
So are you all of this earth? Are the afterlife, or are you mortal?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Somewhere in between, I think.
Okay.
That's sort of my thought. Listen, this is Pandemic Theater, so let's go ahead and get to it. Lord Byron, if you want to lead them in the song that we discussed, now might be a great time for that.
With a caveat to everybody that it's very hard to hear all of each other because we're spaced out in time, but we're going to give this a shot. So this is a wonderful song that we've been doing for years. I think we introduced it in year 4, actually, wasn't it, Mercury? Yeah, we introduced it in year 4.
I believe so. We did it in the first Wicked Little Tales,
Yeah.
for sure.
But
We might have done it before that.
Before that too, yes.
I think it might. Oh no, I can't remember now. For some reason, I thought it might have been 2 because I remember crawling on the floor.
Sometime in the century.
It's all blurring together.
So here we go. Do you ever think as a hearse goes by that you may be the next to die?
They wrap you up in a big white sheet from your head down to your feet.
They put you in a big black box and cover you up with dirt and rocks.
All goes well for about a week. Then your coffin begins to leak. The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out, the worms play pinochle on your snout.
They eat your eyes.
They eat your nose.
They eat the jelly between your toes.
A big green worm with rolling eyes.
Crawls in your stomach and out your eyes.
Stomach turns a slimy green.
Pus pours out like whipping cream.
You spread it on a slice of bread.
And that's what you eat when you are dead.
Woo! And just for your audiences, it's not supposed to sound good, just so you know. Rectian, you know. It goes back centuries, this particular one. Some of you might know it from different children's books and things like that. And we were really entertained, well, by 2 things. One, that there's, I believe it's a thing that they filmed and put on a television or something. And it's like Flicks of Net or something. This show called Sabrina. And the New Adventures or whatever it is. We were entertained by the fact that they did that damn song on Sabrina, but that also the carnival, the evil carnival on Sabrina was called Phantasmagoria. Thank you,
That's right.
dear heart.
I did not know that.
We were doing it first.
That answers
We did it before it was cool.
Yes, you were ahead of the curve. You guys were on the wave before it became pop culture. So we have poems. if
Oh.
I'm not mistaken, that each of you have a thing to let us see.
Absolutely. Can we begin? It's okay if I choose which one?
Yeah. Oh, this is your venue, sir.
Let's begin with Mercury. Mercury is one of our wonderful storytellers, and she has a beautiful poem. Only recently has Phantasmagoria fallen in love with the works of this particular poet. Mercury, it is yours.
The Chariot by Emily Dickinson. Poems First Series, 1896. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too for his civility. We passed the school where children played, their lessons scarcely done. We passed the fields of grazing grain. We passed the setting sun. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice but a mound. Since then, it is centuries, but each feels shorter than the day I first surmised the horse's head were towards eternity.
Woo! Very
Wow.
nice. Very nice.
Beautiful.
That was very nice.
Very nice
I
version.
did forget to say the end, but I hope that is in
We were so anxious to applaud your good works.
Dickinson is morbid but hopeful at the same time. I've been fascinated with her works.
Yeah.
Let's go to a different author, one whose works we've only done as poetry, actually. Alteza, if you could take this adorable little poem.
It is an adorable little poem called The Little Ghost. This is by the poet Edna St. Vincent Millay, or Millay? I'm not quite sure how you pronounce her last name. In Spanish, it's Millay. All right, it begins. I knew her for a little ghost that in my garden walked. The wall is high, higher than most, and the green gate is locked. And yet I did not think of that till after she was gone. I knew her by the broad white hat, all ruffled she had on, by the dear ruffles round her feet, and her small hands that hung, and their lace mitts austere and sweet, her gown's white folds among. I watched to see if she would stay, what she would do, and oh, she looked as if she liked the way I let my garden grow. She bent above my favorite mint with conscious garden grace. She smiled and smiled. There was no hint of sadness in her face. She held her gown on either side to let her slippers show, and up the walk she went with pride the way great ladies go. And where the wall is built in new and is ivy bare, she paused and opened and passed through a gate that once was there. The end.
Woo! Very nice, Alteza. Who will be next? I'm assuming maybe, well, it could be anybody. Lord Byron.
Anybody's game.
Give us something dark.
A little whimsical. Rafe has our darkest one today.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
Author that's my favorite of Phantasmagoria since year 2. In year 2, we actually did 2 of his poems, and Mercury and Rafe recently did a whole story poem written by him for Phantasmagoria. And one of our troop members, a lot of people do not realize, is the actual Alice Liddell, who at the time was a little girl being told stories as they rode down a river. This is a poem that was told to her many summers ago by a gentleman named Lewis Carroll. Jabberwocky.
Oh.
'Twas brillig and the slithy toes did gyre and gimble in the wave. Oh, mimsy were the borogoves and the mome raths outgrain. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that catch, the claws that catch. I repeated it, it was the wrong word. Beware the Jubjub bird and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought, so rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the tulgey wood and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Oh, come to my arms, my beamish boy. Oh, frabjous jay, calloo, callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wave. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome wraths outgrave. The end.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Maybe my favorite reading of Jabberwocky ever.
With my apologies for jaws that catch. The jaws actually bite. They bite, and I just said it wrong. But Lewis will be fine with that.
I think he won't send any sort of protest or anything. I believe he'll be okay.
What is that man's name? It's so hard to pronounce. Badubigad Gumbabach. What's his name? He has a version of Jabberwock as well. I adore it. Let us go. You know what? We're going to end with Rafe, since Rafe has the Banshee, the darkest one. Let's go to Serene first.
Well, I'm hoping that we end with Lady Cimarine swirling light.
Yes, that's what we call it, Cimarine swirling.
Uh-oh, watch out, she's swirling, clear the stage.
Oh my God, everybody's back.
We'll do that. We'll have her do a poem, and then when Rafe, when you're doing the Banshee, we will send her off to get ready for LED dancing. How's that sound?
So we have another little recent discovery by our newly made friend, Miss Emily Dickinson. The only ghost I ever saw. The only ghost I ever saw was dressed in green show. He wore no sandal on his foot and stepped like snowflakes of snow. His gait was soundless like the bird, but rapid like the rose. His fashion's quaint mosaic, or haply mistletoe. His conversation seldom, his laughter like the breeze that dies away in dimples among the pensive trees. Our interview was transient. Me himself was shy, and God forbid I look behind, since that appalling day. The end.
Mistletoe does bring back wonderful memories.
Oh, yes. Yes. Celine, why don't you get yourself ready in there?
Absolutely.
And pick a fun song for this wonderful show, Pandemic Theatre. And now we're going to go to a nice dark one. This will be Rafe bringing this to us. This was a new discovery, Rafe, actually. We never shared this. That's an old book that I haven't used in many years, not since year 1 of Phantasmagoria, actually. The Book of Irish Ballads. And it was written in the mid-1800s, and it really was a collection. It wasn't written then, but it was a collection and edit of ballads going back centuries. This was a new one that I found in there and fell in love with. Take it away, Rafe.
The Banshee, from the Book of Irish Ballads, published in Dublin, 1846, edited by Dennis Florence McCarthy. Fair Eveline sat in her tower high on a calm and silent night, and she gazed on the twinkling lamps of the sky that her own blue eyes less bright. And the silver moonbeams bathed her brow, but her cheek was as cold and pale. Dear Mid's fleet foot is loitering now. What is that dreadful wail? For woefully sad was the thrilling strain, now borne upon the breeze, the sobs and the plaints of one that wept rose sadly upon the ear. It was the Banshee, and she came to tell a tale of sorrow and death. For dear mid that night, 'neath a rival fell upon Moynmoor's dreary heath. Such unearthly sounds, poor Eveline well their meaning would discover, for soon the morning sunbeams fell on her corpse beside her lover. The end.
Woo! Also amazing.
It was wonderful.
Everyone amazing.
Great work.
Thank you.
All right, so now
Very
let's
great work.
see if I can pick this thing up, this creature that's in front of us.
Oh, you're professional now.
I'm moving. It's spooky. And we're going into a very dark room, so I'm only going to be a shadow now. But Cimarine, right behind me, is ready for some fun. Cimarine, are you ready, dear heart?
Yes, darling.
What will be this song we're going to hear tonight?
Suspicious by Mayu.
Suspicious by Mayu, also known as the Dark Piano. Look him up on YouTube. The man is amazing, and he has given permission, of course, to use all of his songs. Cimarine, whenever you're ready, dear heart. In the meantime, they're looking at a clock. There we go. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen.
Very, very nice.
And that is a taste
Fantastic.
of Phantasmagoria.
Hmm.
That was amazing. Lady
Awesome.
Cimarine, that was just amazing. All of you, thank you so much. This
Absolutely.
has been everything I hoped it would be and more. This is Pandemic Theater.
Just an
We,
awesome guy.
we excel in exceeding expectations.
As long
Yes,
as we
we
do,
do.
we're fine.
And with that said, let's go ahead and just kind of wrap it up. I think that you guys gave us everything I hoped for and more. It has been an amazing experience. Thank you all. And my God, I can't wait to see when the world goes back to being what it used to be. Seeing you guys back on stage live. Like I said, I saw you guys do A Christmas Carol. I can't wait to see more. It was amazing. You were amazing here. Phantasmagoria. You guys are awesome.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for joining the Stage Door show tonight. And Tom and myself, again, this was my first time seeing you guys, and it just was amazing. I can't wait to see you live as well. So thank you again for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
It was our pleasure.